Hi friends! It's great to be back teaching you some cool stuff about health and fitness. Today we're going to talk about nutrition and eating right. We're going to use a website called www.choosemyplate.com. As you can see here, this is a visual that they use to represent what your plate should look like at every meal. When we're talking about nutrition, some of our little friends might not know exactly what nutrition means, so we're going to talk about that real quick. Nutrition is the act or process of nourishing or being nourished. And some of them might say, "Ooh, what does nourish mean?" Well, nourish means to sustain with food or nutriment, supply with what is necessary for life, health, and growth. The first food group that we're going to talk about today is the fruits group. And I'm sure that y'all can name your favorite fruit. But we're going to talk about a bunch of different fruit today. We're going to talk about fresh, frozen, canned, 100% juice. They're stored in 100% juice, not sugar, or freeze-dried. This food group plays a very important part of our daily nourishment. It contains, fruits contain very important vitamins and nutrients that promote cell growth and fight certain types of cancers. Did you know that fruits contain seeds? And this is why some foods that you consider to be vegetables, they're actually fruits. Can you think of any? Did you think of any vegetables that are fruits? Here's one right here in the picture. It's actually tomatoes. Tomatoes are actually fruits. Fruits fall into a bunch of different categories. There are some subcategories in the vegetable group, and these subcategories are green leafy vegetables, root vegetables, and even starches. Potatoes fall under starches. Can you think of any other types of vegetables that are not listed above that would fall in the green leafy vegetable category? If you thought of kale, that's a great example of a hearty green leafy vegetable. What about a root vegetable other than carrots? Onions, you say? Yep, onions are a root vegetable. Vegetables and fruits are rich in folate, or vitamin B. This type of nutrient promotes cell growth. This is why it's very, very important for women of childbearing years to have a high intake of vegetables with folic acid. Why do you think this is? Vegetables and fruits should make up half of your plate at every meal. Half of your plate should be fruits and vegetables. The next food group we're going to talk about is the grains group. The grains group is often the most popular among children like yourselves. Who doesn't like to eat a nice bowl of pasta or rice? There are many different ways to get your needed grains each day, but it's really important that more than half of your grains that you digest or ingest each day are from the whole wheat variety. Sometimes it's really difficult to find products that are truly whole wheat. And the way we can do this is by reading our ingredient labels on our food and make sure that the first ingredient on the label is 100% whole wheat. Wheat, barley, oats, rice, cornmeal, and cereal grains are all part of this grains group. Often, cereals, breads, and oatmeal are fortified with the needed vitamins and minerals and nutrients that are important to maintaining a healthy diet. The next group that we're going to talk about is the proteins group. Americans usually get more than their fair share of this particular food group, but they often don't make the wisest choices when choosing proteins to fulfill their daily dietary needs. It's important to choose the leanest cuts in protein category for optimal heart health. Can you name a few types of healthy proteins? Here are some examples of proteins. We have beef, chicken, pork, eggs, and fish. Legumes and nuts are also a part of the protein category. Can you think of a type of example of protein that is also a vegetable? If you said peas, you are correct. Did you know that eggs are a great source of folic acid for cell building health, as well as legumes? The last food group that we're going to talk about today is dairy. What do you think of when I say the word dairy? Usually it's one of the three pictures that you're seeing here. It's usually milk, cheese, or ice cream. Some other parts of the dairy group are yogurt. Dairy is an essential nutrient, and it's needed for what particular nutrient? Does anybody know? Calcium. Calcium helps to build strong bones. Who do you think needs to make sure that they get their calcium intake from a low or non-fat source? If you said adults, you would be correct. Here is a visual of the My Plate. And we want to make sure each and every meal that half of our plate is covered with fruits and vegetables. A fourth of it is covered with grains. A fourth of it is covered with protein. And you also get some protein if you drink milk at your meals. Now we're going to watch a video by SciShow Kids. This is a channel on YouTube where you can get some really great science programming for children.
Our bodies need lots of energy to keep us going throughout the day. And do you know where we get that energy? That's right, from the food we eat. And all kinds of different people enjoy different kinds of food. But whether your favorite meal includes noodles or nectarines, tortillas or tofu, most types of food have some of what our bodies need to stay healthy. You might already know that we can put different kinds of food into different groups. We call these, you guessed it, food groups. But let's check out each group and see what kind of food belongs where. Let's start with the fruit group. You gotta love sweet, delicious fruit. This group includes things like apples and pears, oranges, and strawberries. Fresh fruit is the best for you, but fruit that's canned or frozen counts too. After all, many fruits are hard to find in the winter, and some fruits only grow in certain parts of the world. But don't forget about fruit that's been dried. Raisins are just dried grapes, and prunes are dried up plums. And even juice is part of the fruit group, but only if it's all fruit juice and doesn't have added sugar. Next comes the grain group. Grains are plants, like oats, wheat, and barley. If a food is made from one of these plants or any other grain plant, it belongs here. That means things made of flour, like bread and noodles, breakfast foods like oatmeal and cereal, and even rice are all part of this group. Next up, the vegetable group. I bet you already figured out what goes here. Vegetables come from plants too, but unlike grains, they're either the roots, stems, or leaves of certain plants that we can eat. Carrots, for example, are the sweet orange roots of the carrot plant. A head of lettuce is just a bunch of crunchy leaves, and asparagus is actually a stem of the tasty asparagus plant. There are so many kinds of veggies out there that we can actually split this group into smaller groups. For example, there are dark green veggies like spinach, and starchy vegetables like potatoes and sweet potatoes. Then there are red and orange veggies like beets and carrots, just to name a few. Now, what other foods can you think of? What about the stuff that's inside your sandwich? Meats like chicken or hamburger belong to the protein group, and so do fish like tuna, and eggs made any way you like. But not all members of this group come from animals. Other foods like beans, peanut butter, and tofu, which is made from soybeans, are full of protein. So they're also proud members of the protein group. And that leaves us with the last food group, dairy. If a food is made from cow milk or soy milk, it's in the dairy group. So this is where you find things like yogurt and all kinds of cheeses, as well as your usual glass of milk. And do you know what else fits in this group? Ice cream. But that reminds me, sweet treats like candy don't fit into any of our groups. That's because they're made of mostly sugar and don't have any of the things that our bodies need to stay healthy. So it's okay to enjoy these times.